I think everybody knows some of the 7 signs that God's telling us not to help. It opened my eyes this morning. I think God wanted me to hear it. And God told me inside that everybody here needs to hear it too. I'm not assuming. I'm just thinking it might help you guys too. If anybody donates, it might open your eyes who to help people with your money, time, and who not to.
Ever been there? Have you ever gone out of your way for someone, only to have them turn on you, betray you, or walk away like you never did anything for them? Some of you are drained and exhausted because you are constantly trying to please ungrateful people. But hear me, God did not call you to be anyone's doormat. He did not call you to keep pouring into people who refuse to appreciate the gift. Stop giving your best to people who don't value it. Stop sacrificing for people who don't acknowledge it. Stop letting people drain you dry without a word of thanks. Did you know that gratitude is a key to increased? When Jesus multiplied the fish and the loaves in John 6:11, the Bible says he gave thanks before he distributed them. In 1 Thessalonians 5:18, we are commanded to give thanks in all circumstances because gratitude is a magnet for more blessings. When you thank God, he releases more. When you are grateful for what you have, he increases it. But when you are ungrateful, you block your own breakthrough. And if gratitude opens doors, then ingratitude shuts them. Some people are not stuck because of the devil. They are stuck because of their own ungratefulness. Some people are not experiencing overflow because they never took the time to acknowledge the blessings they already received. If you want to live in God's favor, develop a spirit of gratitude. And if you want to walk in wisdom, stop helping the ungrateful. Let them learn to appreciate what they have before they lose it. Because let me tell you something, whatever you refuse to appreciate, you will eventually lose. Number 3, the proud and arrogant. The Bible doesn't just warn against pride, it condemns it. It is dangerous, destructive, and deceptive. Proverbs 16:18 makes it plain, pride goes before destruction, and a haughty spirit before a fall. Some people are so full of themselves that there is no room for God. They are so consumed with their own wisdom, their own achievements, their own ways of doing things, that they have no space for correction, no space for counsel. And do you know what happens to a person like that? They fall every single time. And the word warns us, God opposes the proud but gives grace to the humble. James 4:6. Did you hear that? God himself will resist you if you are operating in arrogance. You're not just fighting against circumstances. You're not just fighting against people. You are standing in opposition to God. And let me tell you something, you cannot win that battle. Now I know what you're thinking, but sir, aren't we supposed to help people? Yes, we help the hurting, we lift the fallen, we strengthen the weak, but we do not waste our time trying to help people who do not believe they need help. Because let me tell you something, pride is a closed door. When you try to correct a proud person, they reject your wisdom. When you try to guide them, they ignore your counsel. When you try to warn them, they dismiss your advice. And the Bible says in Proverbs 26:12, do you see a person wise in their own eyes? There is more hope for a fool than for them. Pride is self-sabotage. Some people are not suffering because of demonic attacks. Some people are not suffering because of external circumstances. Some people suffer because they refuse to listen. They refuse to take corrections. They refuse to humble themselves. And let me tell you something, if you keep trying to help a proud person, you will end up frustrated and exhausted, because you cannot rescue someone who does not believe they need saving. Now let me clarify something, because some people confuse confidence with arrogance. Confidence comes from trusting in God, but arrogance comes from trusting in self. Confidence is humble. It acknowledges that God is the source. Arrogance is self-centered. It believes that success is a result of personal effort alone. The confident person says, "I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me." Philippians 4:13. But the arrogant person says, "I did this. I built this. I achieved this." And when you start taking the credit that belongs to God, you set yourself up for a fall. There is no clearer picture of pride leading to destruction than the story of King Nebuchadnezzar in Daniel 4. This was a man who had power, wealth, and influence, yet he made one critical mistake. He took credit for what God had done. One day, he looked over his kingdom and said, "Is not this the great Babylon I have built as the royal residence by my mighty power and for the glory of my majesty?" Daniel 4:30. And the moment those words left his mouth, judgment fell upon him. God stripped him of his power, drove him from his palace, and made him live like an animal in the wilderness for 7 years, until he humbled himself and acknowledged that God alone reigns.
5 minutes ago, she'd never played piano.